of constraints, as one of the things we're talking about today, and we were talking about ROI and how you measure it, or how you talk to your chief executives about what's working. And somebody said, nobody ever asks what's the ROI on electricity, but they also don't talk about cutting it. How can you work that in? And the other piece was with Daniel talking about, I was very proud to hear that when he got the call from the TV station, the first thing he did was call his compliance officer, who then, of course, gave him the go-ahead. But often what we worry about is, rogue ambassadors of the company who maybe don't know what they can and can't say. So something we'll be talking about today. But overall, I'm here to talk about a brand that I love, and that I love as part of our hometown here, which is Town Bank. How many are familiar with Town Bank? Okay, yay. But really, as I was thinking on the topic, and I told Eric, I do get in the weeds some with our compliance and making sure we're staying compliant and documenting how we are compliant. I thought about how much some of even those limitations encourage us to have different types of conversations. And so that's a little bit what I'll be talking about today. This is in an investor presentation that our CEO and our Chief Strategy Officer go around the country and tell the Town Bank story, since we are a publicly traded company. And I really love, because this is straight from Bob Aston, who's our founding CEO. He's now our executive chairman. He tells the town story better than anybody else. He is an amazing storyteller, and he just believes so much, obviously, enough to start his own bank. But I love what it says here. It says the story began in my hometown, in my garage, which is true. But this is the part that really stands out to me. With caring as a specific business strategy and a deep-rooted passion for service, our defined culture has set us on a course to build what is now a community asset. Caring as a specific business strategy. And I stopped to think, that's true in what we try to do every day at the bank. Can you imagine if every business that you worked with had said and stated and lived by the purpose of having caring as a specific business strategy? I think a lot of us do, but do we stop and put that in paper or in a mission statement? And how might that motivate us differently? It definitely motivates the conversations that we have. And of course, what is your mission? What is your vision? We come back to our mission statement, which has, it's a little long. It doesn't roll off the tongue. So when somebody says, oh, what is your mission? Most of us don't recite this, but we do know some of the highlights of relationship and friendship driven, high ethical standards, and then ultimately to promote the cultural, social, and economic well-being of our community. And then a few years ago at our annual meeting, if any of you are shareholders, one of our best marketing efforts is our annual meeting in Virginia Beach, where Bob speaks about the state of the company, often the state of the country, economy. He's just an amazing speaker. But this is something that he said about defining town. This is how our chief executive defines Town Bank, with caring, culture, the team, hometown spirit, and then community engagement. If this seems like just a sales pitch for town, what I'm going to tell you is that because of some of the things that we can't say, of going, oh, we have the best checking account for you, and our loan rate will be whatever, what we can talk about is who we are, and that's going to be our best lead-in. Welcome to town. I was talking with Mike Thompson over here about, he said, sometimes I go into a Bank of America or some bank, and then I come into town, and he said, I don't know if you know this, but it's a very different experience coming to town. I said, I hope that it is. Has anybody else ever been in one of our offices? Eric has, okay. Generally a good experience. I'm taking a poll here. That is intentional. That is part of the brand, that it almost feels like you're coming into somebody's home, but that they were prepared for your arrival. You're there as an invited guest, and we're ready for you. So here's Marion. She's at our Old Town office. We love to, in Portsmouth, we love to use our people in our story. So we want that experience to be the same, whether you're coming in and feeling welcomed there in our buildings, also online. This is our Twitter page, and there's Marianne shaking hands across the desk. We have a pinned tweet from this year. One thing that Eric taught me last year was if you're going to have a pinned tweet, make sure you do refresh it every now and then, or else it just looks like you haven't done anything on your page in a while. Like, oh, okay. Well, I thought it was really cool that this was our first ever tweet. I mean, that's what I had up there for a while. He's like, yeah, somebody really cares, they'll keep scrolling, or just keep saying something relevant, and don't worry about what you said 5 years ago. And then also on LinkedIn, and again, I had something pinned there for a while, and he said the same thing. And then I realized, I was like, okay, even though yes, we always want to put in front of you that we are hiring, you want to keep that refreshed, and not just that we were hiring 2 years ago. So thank you. I listen. Social media, and just being in the social media space was something that we have all made part of our marketing plan probably in the last 10 years, maybe 15, but that would be a stretch. Well, at the bank, we had to rewrite a policy specifically 4 or 5 years ago in order to even have our first tweet. We had actually said somewhere we will only post on Facebook, and we're only going to talk about community activities, which is still a lot of what we do. However, we wanted to branch out on all these platforms, and so the highlighted, you'll see, it says, this policy governs advertisements of all types, including but not limited to radio, television, newspapers, magazines, and billboards. So we added in internet and social media just to cover our bases. Because we do have examiners that come regularly and say, how are you marketing? What are the different ways that you are marketing? And we basically have to have it in writing that this is how we're marketing, and then tell them how we do it. And then we have a specific social media policy about why we use social media. Has anybody else had to write one of those? Okay. At Red Orange or in another life? Oh, okay. Okay. It's somewhat helpful. Why am I on social media? And it gives a little more purpose, but it's fairly dry too, and mostly out of necessity. And this was it. So this was, let's see, this was our very first tweet in May of 2014. No images today. I don't think I would ever tweet probably without some kind of image, unless I'm, responding or retweeting, or, but pretty dry, pretty basic. It's like, oh yes, we're out there. And then also, even though we had been on Facebook, we launched this app with Seventh Point, who does a lot of our creative work with us. For a golf tournament that we had. Oh, we really want to have this app and have everybody get connected who's at the golf tournament. So that was the whole impetus for really getting going across all of our platforms. But the seed for it is that every fall we have the fall extravaganza. Has anybody ever attended? No, okay. Well, this is not a plug for the fall extravaganza either, even though it's October 12th. But this is our Suffolk campus. This is the building where I work. But on this one night in October, over 2,000 people are out on our lawn with food vendors, entertainment, silent auction. It all raises money for our foundation, which has been able to put millions back into the community. And Chris Calcagno at Seventh Point said, you are not harnessing the energy of the people that all come to you for this event this day. You're missing out and not having your voice there, basically. And so that was really a lot of the impetus. But in our industry, you can't just say, okay, today we're having this event, and we're gonna plug this event. You have to do all those steps beforehand and have those documents in place, and then be ready to do it. So we were ready in October 2014 to really ramp up the excitement of the event. The other great thing about it that he already knew is then other people are talking about it. It's a great day of earned media because really that's what he wanted, everybody engaging. And now we have the guys at TechArc. They've helped us automate the prize wheel. We used to do we do a grand prize drawing, and we used to crank this big machine, and everybody's ticket had to get ripped off with their number on it, and now it's a little bit more exciting and a Vanna White moment. So Pratik had promoted that they were helping out with that, and then our entertainers had an awesome picture of themselves on the stage. And then this is BK Fulton. He lives up in Richmond. He's one of our directors. He's a retired executive from Cox Media in Richmond. And he has over 5,000 friends on Facebook. And so he's talking about how he's there at this party. It's not about banking, but it is about the experience you have when you come and visit us or for this particular event. And then, of course, you can't just throw up information about here we are at this event. It's an ongoing conversation on social media. Once you're out there, you need to keep talking and saying something relevant. And the listening component of social media is what is fascinating to me as a psychology person or psychology major, and just understanding humans, which is a lifelong exercise. And so I'm going to show you some examples. It's an ongoing conversation on social media. It's not always with you, but about you, and so how you're responding to that. And particularly in our industry, there are things we have to respond about or really feel it's necessary to respond about if we see that somebody is bringing up an issue or an opportunity. So sometimes it's not with you, it's about you. You can't always control what somebody wants to talk about. We had, when Town and Monarch merged 3 years ago, we did a big campaign that the Monarch had landed, and we have one of their butterfly benches, again, that's out in front of our building in Suffolk. And then, of course, somebody says, oh, well, I was forced to come onto your system, and now I can't log into online banking. I'm like, oh, here we are celebrating this nice merger and all the bankers together, and if somebody's got an issue with banking, that's what they want to talk to us about. But what kind of opportunity is there when somebody presents a problem to you? What do you find? Usually that if you help with the resolution and prove to be helpful, that sometimes there's an even greater response for how you've been able to assist. I don't know if this is an exact example of that, but we tried to provide some ways that maybe they weren't getting on correctly, and then she says, no, I did that from the get-go, and then we said, we've sent you a private message so we can get more information, and then she says, I got in, thanks. Okay. And then somebody on Twitter, do you charge for incoming wire transfers? Sure hope I heard incorrectly. There's so little information there. Well, I don't know and this guy's in California, so I don't know who he's trying to wire to. From his name, I can't really, I could look him up, but often with, Twitter handles or Instagram names, you don't really know who the person is. They can be as anonymous as they want to be. But yeah, we said, yes, there is a standard fee associated with incoming wires for most account types, but maybe talk with your personal banker about how often you're doing wire transfers, and we'll see what type of account we can set. You try to have a response that at least is helpful, but also says, I really don't know is this where we need to be having this conversation? And then somebody who's a friend of his writes out our mission statement, ... and says, oh, and we also steal your money. And sometimes you don't engage. Sometimes you just need to know when you don't engage. And again, he was you know, we usually look into, well, who is it that's saying this? And in this case, it wasn't even somebody in our market, you know, it's a troll, basically. Sometimes you know when not to engage. Wow, who loves Google reviews? Mostly, right? Or I know you can sometimes steer people to, well, hopefully, if everybody who likes you and likes the experience with you actually went on, but it has just become a place for people to unload. And we know that a lot of that is because, you know, we're a financial service business, and people's relationship to how most people feel good when they walk in, but if you don't feel good or in some way feel that the transaction did not go well, they're going to tell you about it. And we do want to hear that. We want to hear how somebody's experience is less than exquisite, because we want to provide exquisite service. Well, in this case, she had just lots of information to say, and it's all publicly available. You know, I don't think I'm outing anybody, because you can go to this particular version of our location, and this is still a post. And she was upset because she asked to use the restroom somewhere, and it was behind another locked door. So somebody had to leave their station and come over. So we respond again. We want to show a response. Unfortunately, that doesn't improve our rating, but we are out there responding. Some people think it's one-sided. They are surprised when we do respond, and sometimes when they've even mentioned us. Of course, we have a listening service so that even if they're not mentioning us exactly by our handle, but if they just say Town Bank, we're at least capturing that. But then sometimes it's a surprise. Somebody filled this thing out on the Google store about our mobile app, and really he's complaining about the ATMs. So we had his banker follow up with him, and he was shocked. You saw that? Well, yes. If you're going to tell us that you're unhappy with something, that is our model. The person who knows you best and knows your business is going to make sure that we make it right, if we can make it right. And the thing about the conversations in these spaces, it is our fiduciary responsibility. It's a big word, and so I like dictionaries and origins. Mostly it just means we're there to protect you financially. We're regulated by the FDIC. But so quickly, relating to or involving confidence or trust, held or found in trust or confidence, holding in trust. But this one stuck out to me, and I hope that it can involve marketing and our dialogue, our conversations, no matter what we do. Depending on public confidence for value or currency. You have to have the confidence of the people that you're talking to, and that they find valuable what you are saying to them in order for our job to be effective, no matter what we're talking about. I know I won't go through all of these. I'm getting the countdown from Sean, but this was a gentleman who his disability check didn't go into his account, and he was obviously very upset. He didn't know what happened. It turned out it was a glitch in our system where, long story long, we figured it out, and it actually helped us change a policy in how dormant accounts are handled so that something would stay open. It was all fixed within a day, but he was extremely upset. Everybody on his street got upset and said, how could this happen? And by the next day, he's apologizing profusely and saying, none of these people have ever done anything wrong by me. I'm going to make them cookies. I feel terrible that I did this. And we just said we're so glad that everything worked out. And then he says, thank you, and I apologize to the entire bank. I didn't get the cookies, but hopefully at our Grandy branch in North Carolina, they got cookies. But really, we want the experience to be consistent across all channels. It does happen to pop up on social more and more, but however you're interacting with us, we want that confidence in our value. And I was talking with Eric about how more and more we get people coming straight to Facebook to say, hey, what's the best mortgage rate I can find? You know, in Facebook Messenger. It's like, well, where are you? Not, you know, I need to get you in touch with an actual mortgage lender. I on Facebook cannot, you know, assist you with this or take your application. So we connected this gentleman with somebody in Greenville. Zach, my husband, laughed at this one because in an early morning this woman said, is there a problem with direct deposits posting? And he said, who does she think does her payroll? Mark Zuckerberg? But we figured it out and got her in touch with her banker. So all in all, it really is about delivering that same message and delivering on the promise of your brand and that your voice stays consistent. And for us, that is showing that we care. Sometimes you can't say everything you want to say, but you at least want to do right by your brand and by your mission. Thank you.